Hi, it's Anthony with Lighthouse Construction, and we're back at the new home build on Detroit Lakes where we're taking you beyond the blueprint. So we're on site here today, and we're looking at kind of some of the progress, and really we've dug deep into the mechanical roughing phase. So if you look up towards the ceiling, we have all sorts of mechanicals going on. We have some return lines for some HVAC here that's all been insulated. That'll go back to the forced air furnace. Again, our supply lines are on the concrete on this job. Lots of wire throughout the home, some speaker placements throughout the home here. The fireplace has been inserted into its position here. You can see that has also been ducted out through the roof of this space. So a lot of times working in this home, some of the biggest constraints during the mechanical roughing phase are really making sure that you plan your framing phase, your trusses, those types of things to allow for mechanicals. So because of some of these awesome vaulted spaces, that's, you know, along with some of the increased comfort added, that's why we did all of the blue duct, where all the duct work is in the slab for the supply, and we're able to use some of the attic spaces to get our returns back to that forced air furnace. So let's take a look at just kind of some of the things as we walk through that we're gonna notice on the mechanical roughing side. So all of our outlet and switch boxes are put in place. So we do a lot of work kind of on the electrical drawings, which I can show you here, to make sure we're thinking through all of the placements of things. And it's also nice to walk through the job site with the client as well. So this is a set of construction documents we leave on site. And you can see here, it talks all about the different switch placement, but a lot of things we're doing here are where there's like a three-way switch. You can turn it on and off in different locations, not just one location. And we're using a product that's called Casita. It's a Lutron product, so that will allow us for all the switching throughout the main areas of the home and the master suite. And exterior, you'll be able to use like an iPad or something to control those. You can create smart zones and say like, oh, turn on my living room lights, and it turns on the recessed lighting, it turns on some of the accent art lighting, those types of things throughout. So there's a lot of customization and functionality with that. And there's also things like the, this is going to be a cabinetry detail that's built in that living room space. So want to make sure we dimension those things so we have wire in the wall for when we start doing some of our low voltage under cabinet lighting. Some of that can be done post drywall, but a lot of that we want to prep for and make sure our locations are planned for before we start that drywall and insulation process. So one thing we always like to look at too is before we actually start the installation process, we'll always do a final rough-in walkthrough. So some of the things like this was looking at all of our gas line rough-ins, all of our fridge water lines, some of those nuanced things that we're making sure we have a plan in place for how we're gonna get, whether it's water, power, heating and cooling throughout the home. So running some of the data lines here, there's actually a sound bar in this location we need a data line for. Also thinking through like our niches. In this case, this is a nice shower niche in this space. That's going to be accessed from the master bathroom side of things. Into the master closet here, they do have a separate stackable washer and dryer in the master closet. So this is a dryer vent. You know, in a typical configuration, this is lower to the ground, but since it's a stackable configuration, it's higher here. And then there is a gas line in the event that they'd ever want to hook up a gas dryer to this area. Into the concrete here, you'll notice we have some of the shower rough-in items. So we don't have the actual rough-in valves mounted. That will be coming, but we do have some of our supply lines and our vent lines. Over here, you'll see a plywood detail. So we actually have put plywall on the back side of this wall and flushed it with the studs so that over on this side of the wall, we have a large area. So this is actually kind of a cool niche area for the bathroom. And there's gonna be a nice freestanding tub with kind of a tile surround here. The faucet's gonna come out in the center, and that's gonna create a really nice detail here. So, you know, it's not just about shampoo bottles. In this case, there could be some sort of, you know, decor items, nice things that you'll wanna use around the tub. Here, of course, we have the master vanity, so we have everything roughed in for that. The electrical, there are times where we run like our electrical in loops. So let's say the client hasn't made a decision yet if they want 2 sconces on each side of the mirror or if they want to have a light above the mirror. We'll actually loop it in the stud cavity so that once we set the mirror, we can go back in, cut that box where it needs to go, whether it's the one above or 2 side by side, and then really make sure that's placed once we finalize the location of the sink, those types of things. So we don't have little things that are off slightly. Master bedroom here, we have some speaker wire here, electrical outlets. Again, really thinking through the placements. We'll do the double check of some of the rough-ins. Let's take a look back at the mechanical room and see kind of where all these things home run to and where everything's controlled in the home. So now by the mechanical room, you can see a lot of our low voltage runs are here. They're gonna have a patch panel in this space for internet switches. And then this entire room is the mechanical room. So it's just off of the garage and kind of a segue between the garage and the house. So we've actually have the floor heat all hooked up. That's really nice to help melt any snow and ice that occurred during the winter work that was on site here. It's a nice way to heat the home. I think we've talked about this in other videos, but that duct work, we don't want to run any of that until everything's final cleaned in the home, because we don't want to run dust through new duct work. So this allows us to actually heat using the radiant floor heat to help keep things warm. Once it's insulated, we'll use that during the drywall process as well. It's a nice dry heat. The mechanical room, we've done our plywood, painted plywood, so it's nice. You can mount things easily. You're not worried about drywall. And the electrical panels are here. This home does have 400 amps coming, just to prep for if they ever want to do like a future EV, electric vehicle, something like that. They have capacity to do that from the City of Detroit Lakes. And this room will continue to get filled up with things. Some of the items you can see here, like our gas manifold, just a ton of different gas runs, whether it's appliances or dryers throughout the home, really working through all the placements of that. And yeah, you know, the rough-in part is really where you have to start thinking some of the detail of the home. You can't really do this phase until you have a look further ahead to know where you're going. So a lot of times during this phase, even though this is what we're doing on site, with the client, we're really thinking through, okay, how do I want my cabinetries to look and function, and do I want it raised off the ground, and those types of things, so that on site we can be doing the construction phase of roughing everything in to prep for our finished details. So next steps on this job site are going to be doing a final walkthrough to make sure all of our rough-ins are in the correct locations, and then we're going to start the insulation and drywall process. Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode, where we took you beyond the blueprint.